Okay, hey everyone, welcome to this talk on how to grow on Twitter as a game dev. It's specifically made for game devs, but freelancers working in the game industry definitely can use most of the advice in here too. So before I start, I'd like to remind everyone to ask questions in the chat. I will try to answer as many of them as possible at the end of the talk. Some of you might have seen my video on YouTube on the same topic. If you recognize this little image, it's a great quick video with 50 tips in 15 minutes. So I recommend to check that too. Thanks, Calibro. Okay, so who am I and why should you listen? I'm Niklas, and in the community I'm known as Blue Go Games, or just Blue. Actually, Blue Go Games is a studio with multiple people, but I'm the only person doing Twitter, so I'm kind of the identity of the studio. And I'm going to tell you a little later about why that's important. We're a team of 3 people and several freelancers. We're working on a game called Space Chef. A game called Space Chef, which I will tell you about in a minute. Like many of you, I'm an entrepreneur. More specifically, I'm a game developer. So this means I juggle multiple tasks at the same time. I'm a programmer, designer, project manager, and the most important, marketer. Is that a word? I think so. So I'm the one who needs to figure out how to get the word out about Space Chef. So using Twitter, I managed to get 5,000 followers in 2 years, or maybe 1.5 years, 2 years, something like that. So that's about 200 per month on average. And 200 per month seems a lot to a lot of you just starting out, but using the tips in this video, you can do it too. I'm sure about that. So here's a quick overview of what I'll go through in the talk. Why you should care about followers, how we got our first 1,000 followers, how to create a strong Twitter identity, how to tweet to get noticed, how to build strong relationships, and then I'll finish with 10 quick tips. And make sure to stay till the end when I reveal my final bonus tip. How to get loads of retweets for major announcements. That's a really good one. Then we'll have time for some questions. So any questions that pop up during the talk, just put them in the chat and I will go through them later. So, why should you care about followers? First of all, it keeps you motivated. Because the human brain works like that. You post something, people like it, you get motivated to keep working on it. So the more followers you have, the more people see what you post. So it's kind of a positive feedback loop. Also, by posting stuff as you make it, you can get early feedback on your game. And that's really important. Because if you work on something for very long, and then you finally post it and people don't respond well to it, you're less likely to change it. So by getting early feedback, your game will have a greater chance of success, and you'll know what features to focus on by looking at what other people like. Likes on your post is a good indication that you're on the right track. So if people don't follow you or like your posts, will they buy your game? Another amazing thing that might happen is that publishers and investors may find you. We got contacted by a major publisher, and they found us in Twitter feed while looking for games to work with. We haven't signed anything yet, but it was a big. It was very nice to get a confirmation of the game's success or pre-success of the game, that people actually show interest in it. And this would have never happened if we didn't have a Twitter presence. And also, people will help you, because you will get a big network of people that will help you. Both to find what you're looking for, if you need an artist or a programmer or something like that. We needed help finding a developer or programmer to help us with procedural generation. So I made a tweet, and within an hour we had an awesome guy to help us. And I also got some tips from a chef that plays games. So imagine if I would do this in real life, just walk into a restaurant and ask the chef about tips, what clothes to wear and how it works in the kitchen. That would be kind of awkward. So the big question that everyone asks is Twitter really good for marketing? So a common thought on Twitter is that everyone following you is a game dev, and game devs don't buy games. So I did a poll on this. I don't know if you saw it the other day. Actually, even more answers the last few days, and more than 50% of my followers play more than make games. So I would like to say that game devs are also gamers. Some work a lot on the game, they don't have time to play, and some are just learning to make games and still play a lot. So beside game devs, who's following you and that could help with your marketing? Streamers, both big and small, might see your game and follow you. Maybe they watch you in the start of the development and then contact you later when it's time to have an alpha or beta or something. And if they play your game in the streams, it's marketing, right? And journalists, people that make reviews, and Steam curators, and people that have websites about games, they can see your game and they can post about it on their sites. So the more visible you are, the higher the chance that you'll get a review or an article. And this might seem like a long shot, but eventually you'll find mentors or veterans in the game dev industry. They will give you critical advice for marketing or about getting a publisher. I met a lot of awesome people that will help me. I don't pay anything, they just help me, and they like to see other people succeed. And in the end, I will help other people succeed. So it's a win-win situation. Another critical marketing piece is the number of reviews that you get on Steam on release. The more followers and closer relationships you have with other people, both devs and gamers, the more people will support you and buy your game and give you a good review. So if you can focus everything on the launch day, it's great to have a lot of followers. So let me tell you about how we got our first 1,000 followers. We started working on Space Chef in January 2019. My Twitter account was started in 2018, but I didn't start using it until August 2019. And by December I had reached 1,000 followers, which is a big milestone for many indie devs, and I felt I was doing something right. So what are some things that helped with this first success? So let me first tell you about the game we're making, so you know what we're trying to market on Twitter. Space Chef, it's a mix of several genres. It's a cooking simulator. You shop ingredients, you put them on a barbecue, and so on. It's a top-down action game, like you run around with a gun, place traps, hunt creatures, which is also ingredients. And you also travel through space with your homemade space scooter. And also we have some parts about base building, a little bit of like Factorio, where you can build your home, you can craft machines that will help you make better food and have robots to help you out. So to put it simple, imagine Gordon Ramsay in space with a shotgun and robots. So, starting from zero. In September 2019, it was time for Unite Copenhagen. This is a conference for game developers, which I really recommend, by the way, if you're using Unity. Before going, I started looking for ways to interact with people that were also going. I found people started using the soon Unite CPH tag in the username. Right now I have the IWOCon hashtag, so look out for this hashtag or username tag. So I followed them and added them to a Twitter list. Twitter list is a great way to get a Twitter feed of specific people. So then I sent a message to each one of them and asking if they'd like to meet up. Then I heard that several of the popular YouTubers that were making Unity tutorials were coming to Unite. And that got me thinking, how can I meet these guys? So I made a little Photoshop image, made this tweet. What do these guys have in common except awesome logos and amazing YouTube channels? So you can see that I tried to use some hashtags to get noticed, and I also tagged the 4 people in the image, which is a trick that isn't used very much, but it can work. This was my first successful tweet. I got 18 retweets and 91 likes. It might not seem much, but it was a great start when I only had like 50 followers or something like that. And also this tweet saved me $100 because Blackthorn Prod replied with a coupon code to the conference. So that was cool. So I went there, I met a lot of awesome people, including 3 of the 4 people I tagged. I didn't meet Brackies because he was sick, but I met Blackthorn Prod, Couch Ferret. The guy in the red shirt is Roman Popush, another awesome guy that I met. You should check his Twitter and his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of cool videos. Yes, and maybe you can see Danny in the background. No? There he is. That's Danny. He was a real nice guy. It was cool to meet him when he had only 100,000 subscribers. Now he's got like 2 million, so he's a normal person, but may not appear like that in the videos, but he's really cool. And other people that I met, I tried to get their Twitter and make them follow each other to slowly increase my follower count and my network. So this was only one way of connecting with people. You should try to find people that you have something in common with. A great way of doing this is to find similar games to yours. Talk with the developers. Talk with them, ask them how to solve specific things in their game, for example. Don't worry about their follower count. Because I met awesome people that only had like 50 followers or 10 followers, and some that had 20,000 followers. So it's so easy to focus on the follower count, but don't do that. Look what they're doing and what they're saying. If it's interesting, then follow them. And also add these people to a list, the people that you have in common with, like similar games. I have a list called similar games, so I add all top-down 2D games to that list. So it's easy for me to see what they're doing and engage with them. So this wasn't quite enough to reach 1,000 followers, but I kept posting stuff for 3 to 4 times a week and talking with people, making comments, giving feedback. And around that time, we got an awesome new artist on the team. Tanya. I think she's somewhere here in the chat, but it was really great finding her and started working with her, because she helped us nail the art style of the game, and it definitely helped, because as soon as we started posting images and videos of the new art, I got a lot more likes than before. So the image you see here is a video of the Suckbot, which is a procedurally this is a hard word, procedurally animated robot, and there was some funky music playing. They gave us another 128 likes and several retweets and new followers. Here's another example of something I posted, also drawn by Tanya and designed by me. This shows that if you only spend time on your game and ignore marketing, you will have no audience when it launches. So time spent on game dev on this direction and time spent on marketing this direction. So if you can think of ideas like this and present in an interesting way, do it. Because this is a tweet that can be interesting to any game dev. And it's not about Space Chef. So that's something to keep in mind. Don't just post about your game. Try to engage people in other ways too. We're considering doing a Kickstarter. We haven't really decided yet, but we're still thinking about it. So I interviewed a couple of successful Kickstarters and posted them on our blog. Then I tweeted about them with some nice art. Notice that this has nothing to do with Space Chef. Just making content that everyone that are doing a Kickstarter will have use of. Then of course I try to collect emails on the website, hoping to get more followers by doing this. And then you can notice that I spice up a little bit with a flashing of the card and an animation. It might not show very good in the stream, but it's kind of smoothly animated across the screen. So each little tweet like this gave us a few new followers. And I did 5 of those interviews, so if you're considering a Kickstarter, you can check out our website, bluegoogames.com, and read them. And I've been posting these regularly to the Twitter too, so you might have seen them there. Another thing that you might have noticed on Twitter is the FF, or Follow Friday. This is very interesting because people post a list of a lot of devs and they add an FF hashtag. And then the idea is that people will see the list and click each one of them and follow them. And then someone will post another list with you in them and they will follow you back. So some people don't like it and think it's kind of spammy. I don't do it very often, maybe once a month or so. But I think it's helped me a lot. And I'm really grateful for the people mentioning me. Sometimes new devs start out by making a list like this and mentioning people with a little more followers just to get noticed, and I think it works. I usually follow them back when I do this because I appreciate each mention I get. And also, please, if you're in a list like this, please reply and show your gratitude to the people doing it. Say thank you, or check the people, follow them, or maybe give suggestions to other people that they can follow. So it's easy to get stuck in a loop where you just quickly go to Twitter and post stuff and then ignore everyone else on Twitter. And then this makes it easy to miss an opportunity like this. This is a new post, but I think it was pretty interesting. The indie dev train. It's not an official term, but usually it starts with someone posting on a specific theme or about their game. Then it tags 3 to 5 people and asks them to post about their game. So this causes a huge Twitter conversation. And if you're in a train like this, especially from the start, your game is shown to a lot of people. Because these threads naturally rank pretty well in the Twitter algorithm due to the many comments and likes. But remember, comment and like other people's games too. Don't just post and get out of there. Engage with people. And also, if possible, you can retweet the original train tweet. And that will help everyone in the train. Then finally came the day that we had all been longing for. We got 1,000 followers. So it's a little tradition on Twitter to post something fun with the celebrations using art from your game. And usually it's kind of funny because this usually generates more likes and more follows. And for some reason this usually happens on Christmas, so we have Christmas themed space chefs here. So what's the conclusion to our journey so far? The lesson of this is the more effort you put in, the better the results. This is true for anything game dev, not just marketing on Twitter. The more time you spend on Twitter, the more followers you'll get. So I've made 7,500 tweets so far. That's around 10 tweets per day. But most of those are comments to other people's tweets. And of course, having great art helps. But it's better to make 50 posts of your art as it progresses from mediocre to great than just one post when it's great. Because it means that it's 50 times more likely that someone will notice and follow you. And don't just talk about your game. Ask people about their games and be honestly interested. So, back to you. How do you profile yourself on Twitter? Who are you on Twitter? And why would anyone want to follow you or engage with your posts? The moment you grab someone's attention and they click on your name, they see your profile page. So how do you optimize it so people will follow you? Here is a game called Dude, Where's My Beer? I think Eric, the dev is in the chat somewhere. So if someone looks at your page, they will probably go like this. I don't think you can see my mouse, but profile pic. Okay, the dude looks cool. The header image, that's some nice art, nice colors, subtle colors. They got some awards. Wow. So what was the guy's name again? That's the profile name, which in this case is Dude, Where's My Beer? ? On Steam beer emoji. I usually recommend people to have a username that matches the profile name. The username is the one below the profile name, which in this case is where_beer. So I guess it was hard finding a username that is short and still match the name of the game. But if you have a personal name or a short game name, make sure to have a matching username. Because that's what people see in tweets when they mention you. So then I checked the description of the account. 2-man point-and-click adventure game about finding an old-school pilsner in the world of unnecessary craft beers and snobby hipsters. And a link to his website. That's great. There's a link to his store. That's great. So both of those are great because you want to get people to your website and try to collect emails for a newsletter. You have a newsletter, right? And a link to Steam so people can wishlist it. This game is already out. I can recommend you buy it because it's a really cool game. I forgot to click here, so I will do like this. Yes. And then when people start to scroll down, you need to have your most important or greatest tweet pinned to your profile. You click little three dots on the right and you can choose pin tweet. So if you have a tweet that's gone really well or like a trailer, pin it. And also be sure to retweet other people, because when people retweet you, you want to retweet them and return the favor. But remove them after a few days. The reason is to have your feed clean, so when people come to your Twitter to see about your game, they don't have to get sidetracked and forget about you and your game. So, how to tweet to get noticed. Always use GIFs and videos if possible. They have a much higher engagement rate, which means that people look at them for longer or click them or engage with them. If you want feedback on stuff you post, ask specific questions. Instead of, what do you think? You can ask, is this enough screen shake? Another good tip is to ask mind-boggling questions that many people can relate to and are likely to retweet. I will show you what I mean in just a sec. And also, tweet at the right time. I use a tool called Audience to tell me when most of my followers are online. You can see like an image. It looks at all my followers and check when they're usually online, when they post stuff, and then it recommends what time to post to get most most engagement. And this is a free tool called audience.com. There is a link in the bottom left screen. But in general, if you're in the US around 10 a.m. or in Europe late in the evening, like something like 7 or 8 p.m., this will you reach both sides of the Atlantic while they're awake. Here's one of those mind-boggling questions. If you had $1 million in your bank account, would you still be making games? It got an amazing 196 comments and had 33,000 impressions. You can find stats like this by pressing more in the left menu and check your analytics. They will show you all the tweets, your most popular tweets, and you can see some interesting statistics. So you can see what works and what doesn't, and do more of the thing that works. Here's another post that was very successful. When you wake up tomorrow, if one of these things could happen, which would you choose? Your game finished and released, or $100,000 in the bank? When I checked the stats, 42 clicked my profile after reading this. That's extremely high compared to just 62 likes. Some posts I have made that I got 100 likes, but just 19 profile clicks. So something in this question made people think that I am an interesting person. Maybe I should follow that one. And be sure to comment and ask questions back to keep the thread alive, because the more comments you get, the more the Twitter algorithm will push up in the feeds. So what should I not tweet about? Avoid politics, religion, and personal things that people that want to see about your game wouldn't care about. Avoid memes, unless you can make fun ones with art from your game, because it might make your feed seem unprofessional and generic. Avoid negativity and ranting, unless you're very funny and people like your kind of humor. So, the more you grow, the less important hashtags seems to be, but I still think it's a good idea to use them sparingly. They also kind of clutter your posts, so I usually try to keep them at the bottom of the tweet and use maybe 2 or 3 hashtags. And also there are bots that randomly retweet the post with specific hashtags. So these are some that you can use. Screenshot Saturday is for Saturdays. I haven't used that in a while, but it can be pretty cool. Indie dev, indie game dev. There's a couple more, but if you just search for one of these hashtags, you can see what other people use. Remember to always try and have a call to action. Tell people what they need to do. Tell them to comment, wishlist your game, check out this video. Make it easy for people to take an action. So, how to build strong relationships. You need to ask questions, just like you're doing now in the chat, I hope. Look for interesting posts, ask questions. Likely they will follow you back. Like and comment people's comments on your tweets is really important, because if you just post something and then leave Twitter for a week, then people might lose interest. But if you keep asking questions back and forth, it will be more engaging. DM with people, and DM means direct messaging, or some people call it PM. Engage with the content and ask them about the game, specific things about the game. Don't just DM someone and post spam, like a link to your YouTube or something. Usually it just ends up in the spam section of Twitter. There's a little section at the top where suspected messages end up. You'll get some. You might get some spam because you need to have your DMs open. But just ignore that. I don't get much, and I still have a lot of followers. So just ignore those people, and if they're really sending you some bad spam, you can report them, but it only happened like once or twice. Don't spam, and ask for a retweet before you have a relationship. Just a second. Yes, my family is coming home right now, so I hope they don't break the door and come in here and scream, but we'll see. So, now to finish this up, I'm going to give you 20 quick tips. Bonus tip number 1. DM new followers. Ask what they're working on. I tried to do this, I did it more in the start, because I now have 5,000 followers. It's kind of difficult to do 200 DMs each month. But ask them what they're working on, and don't be upset if they don't reply. Some don't even notice it that you DM them, and someone might forget to reply. Check your DMs 2 or 3 times a week. You might have noticed that Twitter has a thing that it marks all new messages as read as soon as you go to the messages tab, even if you don't click anything. So that's kind of annoying, and it often leads to that you miss messages. So be sure to check them out and reply if possible. Bonus tip number 3. Don't procrastinate on Twitter all day. Join the conversation, comment on some tweets, and then get back to work. Bonus tip number 4. Sometimes your post just doesn't work. Don't give up. Keep posting, but don't be afraid to delete tweets that doesn't work out. And bonus tip number 5. Try to make your post last a little longer by retweeting them. I noticed that this mostly works on new posts. So if you want to get people to notice something again, make a new post, and that's what I mean with reusing posts. And make sure to repost your most popular stuff. If you have a video or like a trailer or something that a lot of people liked, don't be afraid to post it again, because you are the only one that see all your tweets. So don't worry to be spamming, just keep doing it. And bonus tip number 6. This is a great one if it works. If you make your images in the 1:1 aspect ratio, that means that the image is the same width and height. Your image is much bigger on Twitter feed. But the weird thing is that I tried this today when I'm going to post an announcement for this talk, and it actually cropped my image. It did look like 1:1. So I'm not sure if it's something that Twitter is changing or if it only works some days or something like that, but you can try it out, because when it works, it really looks huge in the Twitter feed. So Sander here, I know he's somewhere in the chat. He makes. I looked at his profile. He followed me, and I looked at his profile. It says maker of games, music, and things. It's kind of specific because I'm not sure what game he's working on, but he does something interesting here. He straight up tells me to message him if I want to talk about game design. So I couldn't resist to ask him about it, and I followed him. So apparently it worked. And I'm gonna have a video call with him someday about game design. I'm gonna show him a little Space Chef and see what he knows, if he can give any good feedback. Bonus tip number 8. When people retweet your posts, check who did that by first clicking the post and then clicking on the 23 retweets, if you're lucky enough to get as many retweets like that. And then you can see a quick overview of who follows you, and it's easy to follow back just by clicking the follow button on the right. So that's also you can see the importance of having a good profile description, because you only see that here and a little profile image. Bonus tip number 9. This is a pretty cool one. It's a good idea to track your followers, so you can notice spikes in your follower account, and then you can go back and check your tweets to see what you posted and try to do more of that. You can also use audience to track your followers, or you can use the fun Indie World Order horse race that you can see here on the right. More than 100 people already joined with their funny horses. Also, you can click on a person in the list, and you can see a graph and some predictions of when you reach different milestones based on how fast you're growing. So this is a pretty cool one. Just send me a DM on Twitter, because DMs are open, of course, and I'll add you to the race. Now as a bonus for all you sticking till the end, here's the final most important tip: how to get loads of retweets for major announcements. So this only works if you've been following my other tips. So if you have, you'll have a lot of friends. Now is the time for them to help you out. Let's say you just made an awesome trailer for your game and you really want everyone to see it. Go to your DMs, you will see a list of the people you talked to recently. ask them in advance, tell them that you will be posting something and at what specific time you'll post it. Ask them if they can retweet it. Then when it's time, DM them again, make it easy for them, just send them a link to your tweet. And make sure to post it at a time where most people are online. But don't worry about if their retweets are coming a little later, because maybe when you go to bed in Europe, the people in the US are still awake. So if the retweet comes like an hour later, it's still useful. And make sure that you retweet their stuff too when they ask. The more retweets you get in a short time, the higher the chance is that more people will see it. But don't do it too often, because you don't want to ask people for favors all the time. Just use it for some major announcements. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening. So we have time for some questions. I will check the chat and feel free to post more questions. And just as I said before, feel free to check my video on our YouTube channel with the 50 tips in 50 minutes. And if you want to know more about Space Chef, check our Twitter or our website, bluegoogames.com. I will just put this image up here and I will check for questions. Let me do like this. Okay. Question: should I open a Twitter account per game or just one for the studio and use it to promote all the games? Yeah, that's a good question, because I have an account for the studio Blue Goo Games. I also made an account for Space Chef Game, just to have, if someone searches for it on Twitter, they will find it. So I recommend that you create an account for the game, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep up with multiple accounts. So I recommend using just a studio account. The thing is that when you get an identity on Twitter like Blue Goo Games, if I will have my identity as Space Chef and then I'm making a different game called Space Cars, then I have to make another account and people don't know me. So I will start from scratch each time. So one account for the studio is what I recommend. At how many followers were you found from Half Mule? What does that mean? Was I found? Can you specify the question, Half Mule? At how many followers I was found? I'm not sure I get that. Astral Sarah asks question: if you had to break up your post content into percentages, what percentage of your content would you recommend to be game related, your own game, and what percentage would be other content like memes, polls, questions, etc.? That's a great question. I will still say that I post most things about my game. Maybe 20 to 30% about polls and questions, or a little less. Memes, not so much. What's her Twitter name? I think you're talking about Tanya. I'll let her post it herself if you like, Sue, but I won't post it here. How many hours per day do you spend on Twitter and creating the content for posts? Yeah, that's a good question too, Sander. That question was from Sander. Yeah, if you count like casually browsing Twitter on the phone, probably 1 hour a day. And creating content, yeah, usually I use a screen capture tool. I'm on a Mac. I use a tool called KHP, which is really useful. It creates the MP4 image quickly. So it doesn't take that much time, but sometimes I spend extra time to make some specific post with fancy graphics or fancy art, and that may take 1 hour or so for advanced post. Graphical Boss from YouTube has a question: who are you working with? It looks good. Yep, I'm working with Tanya and Tobias, the artists, and yeah, Tobias also working with the game design. Another question here from Opinionate This. We're an indie game studio that has received a tip that adding people to public list on Twitter without asking permission is considered bad etiquette. Would you recommend keeping your Twitter list private? Yes, definitely. I think I'm on a few lists. There was a list called Cool Games to Follow, and I don't mind being on the list, but the list I'm using is more for private use, so I make a private list just to use it for myself. And let me see. A question from Chris. Do you think it matters how many accounts you yourself follow? Should there be a balance versus how many people follow you, or does it not really matter? Yeah, I know that a lot of people have some kind of prestige in having following few accounts and have a lot of followers. I don't think it matters that much. But using audience, you can also see people that you follow that don't follow you back. Because people sometimes do a trick called follow unfollow, and they follow a lot of people, hope that people will follow them back, and then they unfollow them. And it's kind of annoying because I try to follow them to be nice and to see their content, and they just unfollow me. So if you just go in sometimes and clean up the people that are not following you back, then you will get a good balance. But you shouldn't worry too much about that. But of course it looks cool if you're following 10 people and have 10,000 followers. But you shouldn't care too much about that. B-Sense. What happens if you unretweet a tweet? Is that removed from other accounts? That's a good question. Undo the retweet. I mean, well, if you retweet another person's tweet, it will show up in the feed. Like Blue Games retweeted this, and if you undo the retweet, then it just disappears from my account. But since it's a few days later, it doesn't matter because no one will see the retweet after a few days. Yeah, those color emojis are also important because they catch people's eyes when just scrolling. Yeah, I didn't mention it in the video here, but in the other video, I mentioned that using emojis is great to get people's attention. I prefer hashtags in the message rather than the bottom if I can. Astral Sarah says we do a mix of both. Some in the post content if it makes sense, but then others at the bottom. Yeah, I do the same. Okay. Too many tags don't seem to perform well. Yeah, I'm not sure because it's very random because sometimes I use hashtags, but still only people that I follow reply. So I'm not sure. Is there any more questions? Are there any apps that will tell you the time zones of the majority of your followers? Yes, Audience can do that. And actually you can... it's very interesting to see the time zone, but when they're online it's interesting. So the image I showed you before, that does that. B-San says, interesting, I'm still afraid to DM people on Twitter. That's cool. But just do it, don't worry. In worst case, they don't reply. So please DM me, you can practice on me, I will be very nice to you. Thanks a lot, great talk, thanks for the talk. Yeah, thanks a lot for everyone watching. Okay, there's some more questions. Stick around for more questions if you like. If you need to leave or so, feel free to DM me, tell me what you thought about that talk, because it will mean a lot to hear what you think. How do you reach not only other indie devs, but gamers too? Yeah, that's a good question. And it's kind of hard to know. But like I said, indie devs are also gamers. So how to reach only gamers? Then maybe search for people that are streaming games. There's a lot of people like playing games on Twitch. They're gamers, so if you check with them, try to find hashtags about streamers. Maybe you can find those. But there's a lot of devs on Twitter. That's no secret. Could you cross promote between accounts? Sure. If I post a question on post a tweet on my main account, I can go to my other account and just retweet it. But since the other account only has like 100 followers, it doesn't make much difference. At how many followers were you contacted by a publisher? Oh yeah, okay. I think I had around 3,000 followers at that point. There was a question from Half Mule. How do you select the most efficient hashtag for your posts? Yeah, that's a hard question. I just randomly choose any of the hashtags without any afterthought. But sometimes when you start typing like hashtag indie, you can see that like what's trending right now. So is it good or not to post what's trending? I'm not sure, but maybe it says like 380 tweets right now for a specific hashtag. What do you think about the problem of marketing your peers instead of marketing your target audience for the game? Yeah, I don't think that's a problem because I think it still is important, like I told you in the start of the talk, that your peers, your other game devs are also gamers, and they will also help you get reviews. So yeah, Indie Dev Bubble, yeah, I agree a bit with it, but still I think the most important thing with Twitter for me has been finding people to work with and people that helps me. How do you resist the temptation of adding similar mechanics in your game from the games you're currently playing? Okay, I don't think that's a Twitter question, but it's an interesting question. I don't resist. If I'm tempted to add a mechanic from another game that I'm playing, I'll do it. Maybe add a twist to it, but I'm not sure if it's related to Twitter. Question from Eric. I don't always see who starts to follow me, so they unfollow me after a few days. Automatic email from audience tell me that. Well, the only tip is to go into audience and more often. But if they unfollow you after a few days, then they're using the follow-unfollow tactic, so I wouldn't care too much about those people. Miguel, will the VOD be available? Yes, it will be available on Twitch after this talk, and I will also put it up on YouTube and put it on my Twitter later. Astral Sarah says, I like to follow people because I'm interested in their content, not because I'm hoping they will follow back, even though that's always nice. Yeah, I agree. Do you have a paid account for audience? Nope, I use the free account. The only limitation I think is you can only have one Twitter account in it. Yeah. Okay, one last question here. Do you promote your Twitter account from outside of Twitter? Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I have maybe little some links from there, but not much. Nope. Yeah. Any other questions? Or you're all happy and ready to get your first 1,000 followers? Thank you, Serious Girl. So is this the moment where we all promote our Twitter? Yeah, sure. Great idea, APOC. Put your link to your Twitter account here, and we make a nice Follow Friday kind of thing here. I will also do it. And I will follow all of you if you post your link. And I'll also DM you and ask you about your game. Because remember, ask questions. If you see my video, you will hear that thing, that sentence a lot. Do you have any thoughts on the best ways to get people to click through from Twitter to other platforms? Yep, I have a really good tip I didn't mention here. That was a question from CDI Arcade. If you post a YouTube video, first of all, if people watch their Twitter on the phone, they won't see any preview of the video, so that sucks. So you need to make your own image, preferably a GIF of the video, and put it in the add it to the tweet, and then have just a link to the YouTube video, and that will make people notice it more and click it. So that's great. Yeah, check out Chris Jenny music and sound effects for games. Can you make a link with HTTP, Chris, so it's easier to click? Oh, B-Sense, it's blue. Blue Bubblebee. I didn't know that. So this is an awesome list. I will also make a post on Twitter with all these people, because why not? It's cool. Witchcraft. Oh yeah, Witchcrafter is having a talk later tonight. Can you tell us, Pavel, when the talk is and what it's about? A short pitch here. Still 44 people viewing. Can you measure conversion rate from Twitter to Steam page or your HQ page? Yes, I can. I haven't done it, but I have Google Analytics, I think both on Steam and on the website. So maybe I should have done that. I haven't done it. Yeah, keep posting those Twitter links. Pavel is making a game called Witchcrafter in Default. Can you quickly just tell us what Default is? Because I have no idea. But I guess it's important. It's also a part of the how do you say this? IWOCon. IWOCon. I'm not sure how to say it. But Pavel is having a talk on the IWOCon. Next talk is Tony about music production. Oh, cool. Default is a free and lightweight game engine. Lightweight sounds interesting because Unity is sometimes kind of heavyweight, but it's still cool. Especially good for 2D games. Oh, cool. IWOCon got a tweet from Steam, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Great job, IGL, Indie Game Lover, and the entire IWOCon team for doing this. It's been a lot of work to make everything fit together. I'm happy that everything finally came together. Hi, Jameser, yo. Yep. So should we end the stream or should we keep chatting? I can answer more questions if you like. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot for joining. If you're interested in the game, then feel free to follow the Twitch account, because I just started streaming. I think it's pretty fun. And I will probably stream development of the game of Space Chef. Oh, I forgot one tip that I had in mind, but I forgot to say it. So here's the super secret tip. When you talk with people, don't say my game or the game. Say the name of the game instead. So I just made a mistake because I said I stream my game development here. I will say I will stream Space Chef, the game development, because the more you say your game, because your game, the name of the game is your brand, the more people recognize it, and people will remember it. So keep saying it. What's your favorite dish from your game? That's a great question. Maybe this drink on the image right now. It's called hot basicoa. It's got the nectar from the basicoa fruit with cream on top. So it's hot and cold at the same time. Kind of like hot chocolate, but sweeter, maybe. Some games use a project name. What's new? Wonder if being an artist also helps once you start game dev, as we all have a number of followers already. Yeah, being an artist super much helps. Because if you just post technical images or technical stuff, a lot of people don't follow it as much. But if you can make some nice art, then do it. Some games use a project name though. I'm not sure what you mean, Rudon Sprites. We're making an indie dev list. If anyone wants to be on it, just hit us up. Sure, Lucery. I'm not sure if you posted your Twitter, but sure. I'll just have to figure out how to do this before I close the chat, so I don't lose the links. How do I find a good artist like Tanya? Yeah, good question. Try to post on Twitter, ask for an artist, and have a little audition. Because she nailed the audition we had. It was awesome. Oh, the chat will stay in the video. Yeah, you see, I'm a noob on Twitch, so. Well, I'm glad that it worked and didn't crash, and my green screen worked. So, this is a shirt with a green color here, so that's why it's transparent. And also, I like 60 FPS. It's nothing is fun without 60 FPS. We'll read the next talk. Oh yeah, that's a great. Is it at 8 o'clock? So definitely I can do it if I can I get a. How do I do a raid? I'm not sure. Help me, Snooty. Because I'm right now in Streamlab OBS. Yeah, sure. So should I dance or? I don't have any dogs to show. Type raid and the username of next streamer in chat. Okay, cool. So can someone help me with the username of this next streamer? I'd love to do that. I wasn't expecting people to stay for this long, but it's awesome. How can I trick people to stay a little longer? Oh, thanks, Chris. Thanks for hanging out. Tony Manfredonia. Okay. Is he online yet? Just brought Space Show cooler. Yeah. You can always sing some. Yeah, sure, why not? Will this work? This is quite confusing. Just give me a sec. Okay. How about this one? Did anyone recognize anyone on this picture? I will. This is a bar in Space Chef called Slurkus. It's a kind of a cool place. And our day, yes, I will zoom in this guy. This is the first time I show this these images, so it's pretty cool. Your screen is so small. Okay, I make it bigger. Is it big enough, Eric? Oh, anyone saw Danny? Let's just enjoy Skull here for a moment. Yeah, actually, I took a picture of them while having dinner someplace, and I got them in the game. Here's a drink bot. If you want a drink, just call drink bot and he will get a drink. Oh, does this kid look like he belongs in a bar? Mystery awaits. And there's a lot of cameras here. Anyone recognize this one? What is this? Oh, the kid is really 9,000 years old. That's a good twist. Can anyone recognize this one? It's supposed to be. No, I won't tell. If you can see what it is, then I'm not gonna tell you because then we need to redraw it. Facehugger, yes. That's is that name? That's the guy from Half-Life. Potato on legs, yes. It's also potato on legs. So you need to catch it. And here we have a little funny guy. Oops. Do you have a license to use this image? This is this trademarked? This guy? Oh, now a chat overlay. Never mind. A potato has been lying around way too long. And obviously, aliens are not allowed in here for some reason. Tonight's show, the best taste ever. He has some muscles, yeah. Here's a dude drinking something. Here's an alien. Okay, is it time for the raid now? If you're in space, who are the aliens? Yeah, that's a really good question. I thought about that too, but this guy here, the bartender, he's a little suspicious. He doesn't like aliens, but I'm not sure. Is he human? What do you think? So, is Tony online yet? Nope. Oh, thanks a lot, APOC. Stay healthy here, you too. Yep, there are some suspicious things about him, and that's part of the mystery about Space Chef. Let's show this one more time in case someone missed it. So many cool details in the bar. Have you written much dialogue for these characters yet? Nope, we haven't actually, but it will be a lot of fun dialogue. There's an alien playing, yeah, playing something. Can we check the alien again? Yep, she's playing something. Here will be some cool indie game, probably. Watch out, she's got a gun, so don't mess with her. We can raid a current IWOCon streamer playing one of the indie games when you're ready to go. Sure. So I'm ready to go now. So thanks a lot everyone for staying, and enjoy, and please send me a DM on Twitter. I would love to chat with you all.